This is the Screech and Roll podcast. With your hosts, Chibbsy and Mad Dog. Oh man, if only the intro went for another minute longer. Okay? Mad Dog, Screech and Roll. We're here.
Yeah, God, get pumped when I hear that bloody intro music. Love it.
Yeah, that's right. That's that Hawk Screech.
Yeah.
Make sure you're following Screech and Roll on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads. Threads. Where everyone is hanging out these days, apparently. We got a guest today, Doggy.
We do. I'm very excited about this.
That's right. I'm not going to muck around too much here. We have a great basketball mind and ex-Hawk, Talor Goodall. Tay, thanks for joining us.
Boys, when they go through the annals of history, they're going to be looking at three things. One, the discovery of fire. Two, the invention of the submarine. And three, the Screech and Roll podcast. Let's go, Hawks. Let's go.
That's a wide expanse of history. We've gone from fire.
I'm going to cut that and use it as a sample, bring it to the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, I love it.
Intro.
Shout out to one of my favourite movies of all time, Semi-Pro, for that one. So, figured I'd
fantastic.
One more straight away.
Yeah, beautiful. Welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for coming on.
No, absolutely.
Talk about all things Hawks.
I absolutely love what you're doing. For anyone who knows me, I'm, a Hawkhead through and through, and someone who's been lucky enough to put on the singlet, but someone who, ever since those days, has been a huge supporter of the Hawks and everything they stand for. So, absolutely love what you're doing, boys. Can't wait to get into it.
Thanks.
Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Before we do get into it, just give us a quick rundown on how that, being a Hawks fan, just coming through local basketball, doing that sort of thing, and then ending up at a point where you are in a Hawks jersey. In a quick recap, how does that even happen, and how did it feel putting on a Hawks jersey?
Mate, it was a dream come true, to be honest. And, sort of to go back to, I guess, the grassroots of Talor Goodall. But basically, we came over, my brother and I, you guys know him very well, and my family over from New Zealand, born in Christchurch. And one of the first things my dad did was take me to a Hawks game at the Snakepit and put me in one of those boxes at the Snakepit where it felt like you were going to fall through the floorboards.
Still there.
Anyone shooting a free throw was basically going to get a beer poured on their heads if they were on the away team. So honestly, some great days. And then obviously myself, I grew up playing a lot of basketball, in a lot of the Illawarra teams growing up from under 12s to under 18s. And I just kind of lived and breathed basketball most of my sort of junior life, I guess. And then luckily enough, as I got to just past under 18s, I was sort of asked by Eric Cooks to be the development player for the Hawks of the 07-08 season. And honestly, mate, like I said, it was an absolute dream come true, and even got a trip to Singapore later in the season. We lost by about 30 that night, so it wasn't great. But in the end, it was just amazing to be in that team environment and get NBL experience, whether it was just through training or some of the the games that I stepped on for. It was just a huge moment for me in my life, and something that I'll always cherish.
They can't take that away from you, mate. You've been there.
That's it, mate. It might not have been a lot of minutes, but it was more minutes than none, so I'll take it.
More minutes than most.
and scored a couple of buckets, mate.
I still hold this dear to my heart, that I hold the NBL record for free throw percentage. I was 100% from the line in my career. I will not tell you, and I will never let anyone know how many it was. Let's just assume it was like 300 or 300.
That's pub trivia right there.
That's it, mate.
So you're probably we're going to get into a bit of this. Actually, let's just get bloody into it. All right, Tay, you mentioned Singapore before, so let's go to Singapore yet again. Because although you're saying when you were there, you lost by 30 points, we definitely didn't make an embarrassment of ourselves in Singapore, but I still came away from it feeling like we did miss an opportunity.
Yeah, it was a funny one, right? Like, we all sort of stayed up on that Friday night and watched the game, and we didn't know exactly what to expect.
Not
Obviously,
at all.
the guys, even J Rock was signed, sort of late in the preseason, so it was our first, I guess, chance to really get a good look at these guys. I know we did at the Blitz, but it was probably the first proper game we actually got to watch of these guys. So, yeah, look, there was definitely positives and negatives. I felt like we almost got what we thought of this team going into the season. I think we actually got a lot of those same answers from game one of this tournament, where it felt like we were going to struggle to score at times. Obviously we've got Tyler that can break down the defense at the last second if we need, a bucket in the last 8 seconds of a shot clock. But I felt like in general we were super clunky on offense. But what I will say is we showed a lot defensively. That team, Flamengo, however you say it, but they were kind of a team that I felt like we actually matched up okay with, because they like to play half-court offense and sort of slow it down, and they just basically pegged up 40-odd threes, and I think that actually played into our hands a little bit. I felt like...
Unfortunately, a lot of them went in.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more than ours, mate. I think
mate.
We were at, There was a point we were at 1 of 16 from the three-point line.
I know.
In the fourth quarter, so...
I was repeating that stat over and over again, the entire thing, going, we're in this, and we're 1 from 16. We're in this, and we're 2 from 20. We're in this, and we were in it, like, well and truly in that game the entire time.
The fact that we were 1 of 16 from the three-point line and still in the game, actually leading the game, was actually a very positive sign as to what we can expect in the NBL season. Yes, there's going to be lulls offensively, but I think our defense, Wani, I still believe, is the best on-ball defender in the league. And we'll obviously get to that in some of the previews and the preview for the Tassie game. But I think the fact that we can basically use him and put him on the best guard of the other team makes a huge difference, because you don't have to then put a Hickey or a Tyler on them. You can basically use Wani there. And so I just think defensively, obviously, we've got a bigger presence inside this year in JaVale McGee. Obviously I love Sam and, what we've done, in terms of our bigs and Lockie, but I think this is going to be the first time that teams are going to struggle to go to the basket against us, because
they're not going to want to. They're going to look up. They're going to be dribbling in and look up and go, oh, no, take that back out. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're lucky enough to get past Wani or Davo, on the three-point line, they've then got to make a business decision whether they're throwing up, going to the basket hard and trying to score on JaVale, or if they're throwing up, a little bit of a runner, that might not be what they actually want to do. It might be a lesser percentage shot than them pulling up. So, yeah, I just think defensively we look great. There's obviously some question marks. Obviously J-Rock had, possibly his worst game of his career in that first game. It just never felt like anything was going right for him.
It was a shock. It was a shocker from J-Rock. That's not the last thing he needed, especially where the last time we saw him was the second half of the Blitz, and you go, "Oh, sign him up. If he can do that, sign him up." And then to come out with a real competitive game with an absolute stinker, it was getting a lot of Hawks fans on the chat very fired up.
Yeah, they were cooking, but. Hopefully he finds some consistency, because you're seeing the flashes of why he's been signed up, but it's super early. The season hasn't started yet, so I've already eaten my words once with the young fella, so I'm going to shut my mouth and just let him play before I dig myself a deeper hole. But yeah, Tay, I agree. I love our defensive hustle. The Flamengo game in particular was just really frustrating, because I felt like we were on top for 90% of the game, and our shots just weren't dropping,
Yeah, there was a lid. There's a lid was on the basket at one point. Nothing, even layups were just bouncing over the top of the rim and everything. And the way you're sort of talking about it, Tay, sort of reminds me, do you think we're going to go into this season almost with like this Boston Celtics mindset of a defensive juggernaut, and as whoever, you just got to look at the 3-point stat and go, that's who's going to win or lose the game. It's going to come down to, we're going to stop you from scoring, but if our threes don't go in, it's going to be a bad night.
Yeah, it could be. What I actually think might happen this year, like with our defensive structure, is I think actually whoever plays against us is going to be more like the Boston Celtics in the way that they're going to probably be shooting a lot of threes. It's just the way that we're sort of built is that we're very good on ball. So I think a lot of teams are going to probably look at the math and go, you know what, we could probably try and beat the Hawks with threes, because the problem for us is we've probably lost some shooting, obviously, by losing Lee in the off season. I know we've still got Blanche who can sort of.
But even Days was a good.
Days could, yeah.
Days was a good shooter, yeah.
I know we'll probably touch on it later, but it's actually a reason why I was happy we signed. I know it's an injury replacement, but Jonah Antonio, I think he can actually fit a bit of a bill that, a bit of a void, I guess I would say, that Lee actually left. I know he will only see him if there's an injury, but I was actually happy to see that we went after a guy like him, because I do think we're sort of a shooter short in this lineup. So we're going to sort of be relying on like a Dan Greeter to really sort of light it up from three this year. And obviously Blanche just does what he does, but, we can't rely on him at his age to just keep dominating from three. We really need other guys to step up. So, yeah, in terms of the Celtics, I wouldn't be surprised if we see when at the WEC each week, a lot of teams putting up a lot of
jacking threes. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I thought in the G League United game, which the score I don't think really shows how we were in that game. We could have won that game as well, and I think. I get there had to be minute restrictions and everything, but we did miss having like a Jonah Bolden in that game, where I've just been so impressed with him. And the time we've seen him in a Hawks jersey, he's been my pick for the season. I think he's going to be a really important player. Can play sort of multiple positions, can shoot, can be that sort of smaller big man, but is just super athletic. And if you've got him and a McGee or a Harry Froling on the court, there's so much size, or a Peatling even, that just defensively it's fine. But he's also a threat. You can't just leave him alone out on the perimeter because he can shoot the ball.
Yeah, he was one that I'll admit, when we first signed him, it wasn't a name that sort of jumped off the page to me. It was, I looked at it as he's an Australian. He's not taken obviously up an import spot. And I just thought with his size, he just sort of fit the criteria of what we needed. But then I started thinking about it and I go, man, this feels like a perfect JT guy. Like I just
think Tatum is going to get him absolutely firing. Something that New Zealand couldn't do with him. He was injured a lot, to be fair, last year, but yeah, it just seems like a Tatum guy. I agree.
And what you brought up there, his versatility will be huge for the team this year, because he might say start at the 4, and then you bring in on Mason Peatling, who I don't know if anyone realises he's won about 600 titles. He's just like he sort of pisses excellence, that guy, and so does Ronnie. That's another story. But honestly, whether they start with Peatling or Bolden or whatever, but what they can do is if they need to give McGee a break, because he's obviously not going to be a high-minute player. That's just not how we're going to get the best use out of JaVale this year. They can obviously move Bolden to the 5 and then put Peatling in at the 4, and then that gives a lot of versatility to the lineup. So, yeah, I honestly think he is going to be a perfect JT guy where, JT just has this sort of expectation on his players and what they're going to do out there, and I just think he's going to be the kind of guy that you see a huge uptick of what you saw of him at the Breakers, just because of Tatum and his leadership.
Yeah, 100%. What about Bales? You like Bales? He looked sprightly, didn't he?
I know we're gonna touch on sort of who we thought was sort of MVP's team, and obviously there's going to be an obvious name we brought up. So I thought I would sort of touch on someone that wasn't as obvious in terms of stats, but Bales was my guy. I came out of the 3 games going, man, we got an absolute steal before the season here in Bales, and I think my first thought was that J-Rock was going to be the guy sort of running the backup unit, and he would be sort of the point guard sort of taking over from, say, Davo. But I think what's going to happen is I think Bales is going to play that sort of anywhere between 10 to 20-minute role, and J-Rock probably going to be the 2 coming off the bench. He's probably going to be more taking over Harvey in the bench unit. So I just think they saw enough out of Bales straight away, and they trust him to run that. So
they chucked him straight into the starting 5 for the second game. It's like, all right, you go. Yeah.
It wasn't stats like if you have a look at his stats, he's scoring like 6 points, and
it's not a box score player. It's an energy. He's like what Davo was for us. Not last year, the year before.
Yeah, the best way I agree. If you look at the stats box score, it doesn't pop out, but it was like his intent on the court and how he looked out there. It looked really, really sharp. Looked really good.
Dan Gritter's like that as well, where it's on the box. You go box score or whatever. He played X amount of minutes, but when he's on there, it is pure intensity. It is like this guy is scrambling all over the court. He's an absolute menace. Yeah, and people are going to be like, shit, he's on me. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be hard now.
And people don't realise how much trust a coach needs in his backup point guard. Like, people might look at that and go, oh, he's running the bench unit, who cares? It might only be 10 minutes a game. But
that's still important minutes. That's a big chunk of game.
You're running the entire offense. Like, you need to be trusted. And the fact is that sometimes you might be running a quote-unquote bench unit, but it might be half starters, half bench. It might be guys that actually haven't trained in the same team a lot, so you're actually, you need to get the best out of your offense. And what I saw out of the guy was a very calm and collected player who seemed to get the best out of the offense when he was on there, whether that was him scoring himself, whether it was facilitating, whether it was just him reversing the ball and getting good shots for his teammates. Like, I just felt like he proved to me that he's going to be a big part of this team this year.
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure,
I
mate.
100% agree. And the third game was a bit of, whatever. I know that the Japanese team had a bunch of their big star players. They didn't even play them. It was kind of like playing their B team, so whatever. But it was good seeing Bales again on there, just seeing that. Harry Froling getting huge minutes and just being like, can you play this much basketball? And he has some pretty silky shots on him for a big fella. Like he had a couple of, like turnaround jumpers and stuff, and he was sort of showing a lot of his bag there. But also just a big fan to see Johnny Narkle on the court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm excited about Narkle. I think I know he's a development player and he might not play heaps, but he just seems like a bit of a X-factor dude that maybe not a lot of people are going to have. They wouldn't have crunched tape on Narkle.
I was talking about someone about this the other day. The development system in the NBL is so much better than back when I was playing. Like, the guys that are stepping in as development players are so much more NBL ready than ever before. Like, I basically was shitting myself, like, if I was out there, because I didn't really have like an amazing, like an NBL 1 to sort of play in. It was like, I basically choose between playing ABA, like even going to New Zealand wasn't really a huge thing even back then. And I just didn't have the experience when I'd stepped on the floor outside of just the training. Whereas, Johnny Narkle's playing in this like amazing league in the NBL 1 with guys that are actually in the NBL, and he's going out there and dominating. So he comes into this league with absolutely no concerns or worries about his own game. So it was really, really great to see him get some minutes. Obviously, you brought up, Harry Froling. Like, we're all rooting for him after, sort of the last couple of years he's had. And obviously, like, we all know injuries happen. These guys are going to be called on at some stage, and we're going to need the trust in them to do this. So, it was great. Even so, Luke Yates even got some minutes. He was on the
He was getting a lot of minutes, and even in crunch time, they were putting him in some of the games that were on the line. Like, they were giving him minutes, and they obviously believe in him a lot. But the Harry Froling thing, he is such a big guy that there are going to be some matchups that suit Harry more than anyone else.
100%.
I also love that he gets lippy out there.
Yeah, he sure does. Yeah. I think overall there was heaps to take out of it. The biggest thing I took out of it was we really missed Davo.
Oh
yeah.
And that's why you got to take this with a grain of salt, right? Like, you went over there. Davo's going to be our best. I just talked about, Bales and how well he ran the offense. Davo runs the offense for us perfectly. And I've always said this too, that, this is why I love Trakel, and I don't mean to give myself the biggest pat on the back, but I'll do it anyway. When we announced Trakel last year, and it was super early in the preseason, I was over the moon, and I had a lot of people like that sort of know that I've got I love my basketball and my Hawks and stuff. They were kind of questioned it because he didn't have an amazing season the season before for Adelaide. He did have some very good games against us. Like he had a triple double on New Year's Eve. He had another game where I think he dropped 30. But it wasn't his point scoring. It was just his ability to just sort of command the respect of the other team. And like I said, anyone who has a triple double, it's super hard to do in a 40-minute game in the NBL. He just seemed to be able to, control his team, especially that Adelaide team all over the shop. The fact that he was able to sort of corral them together and get out what he did was amazing. And I always felt like he needed a better coaching system. He wasn't getting much there at Adelaide. And JT went after him. He got him after like 2 weeks of free agency. And I was like, this guy is perfect for this system. And I will bring it back to what I was initially saying with Tyler. I really believe we need that sort of more ball dominant point guard, because the problem is, yes, you might see more stats out of Tyler when he's got the ball more, but you'll see his field goal percentage go down. Like some of those old school Hawks teams where Tyler was scoring 25 a game, it was coming on like 37% shooting, and it wasn't
we
where
won 4 games.
It's not where we get the best out of Tyler. We want Tyler off the ball, and we want him, getting set up in positions where he's already on the front foot and he can sort of break down the defense where there's 10 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock. I want him with the ball the entire time. So Davo makes an enormous difference in that sense, that if he breaks down his man, then kicks it out to Tyler, he's either shooting a 3 or he's got his man on his back and he's shooting that runner that we all know.
100%. And he must shoot that thing at like 90%. I swear, like it's wild.
I reckon he spends 8 hours every day practicing that because it hardly misses.
The only times I found it missed was when, what I was saying, he was doing too much with the ball, and I think he was tiring himself out, and then all of a sudden runners were going short or to the side. It's when he actually can play off ball and he's got a trusted point guard next to him that we actually see the best out of him, because he doesn't have to hold it for 10 or 12 seconds of the shot clock. He gets it. Then all of a sudden he's vibrant. He's getting past his man. Then he's got the spring in his step to do that lovely runner that we all know and love.
Oh, it's beautiful. The only other thing I took out of this entire tournament was, for the love of God, Hawks, go practice free throws.
Yeah.
Don't want to go back to that.
Don't do like I remember last season wasn't as bad, but the season before we left 14 points a game like on the table from just missed free throws, and I can't. It does my head in. Like I've never been a professional basketball player. I've hardly played beyond the junior level, but I swear to God, if someone was going to give me money to play basketball for a living, I would be practicing free throws a lot.
The problem is too, if we're playing lower scoring games, we're not getting cheeseburgers for the 100 points like we used to. We're probably playing in the mid 80s to low 90s this year. The free throws meant even more. Like, it might not matter in a game that's 112 to 105 or something like that, because there's just less percentage of the points going through free throws. If we're trying to win a game, 88, 85, we need as many of those free throws as we can get. I'm not breaking news by telling you the free throws are important.
But close games have been the Achilles heel of the Hawks for a while now, and close games come down to these 1%ers, and that is hitting your free throws, especially in those clutch moments, being able to just, they're going to foul. You get to a point where you're going to be fouled. Like, that's what's going to happen. You don't need to be a basketball genius to know that all they're going to do now is try and foul McGee, try and foul Froling, try and foul someone. It's just like, be a threat that you can shoot over 50% of your free throws.
Just got to be aggressive, right? You just can't let them come to you. If they're going to foul you, go straight through them and score and make it a 3-point play.
And make it a 3-point
play. We're going to miss at the line, make it the one free throw.
Make it the one, please. Yeah, we don't want a Shaq. We don't want a Shaq at the Lakers situation where it's just like he can't play the last 6 minutes of games because he can't hit a free throw. Like, yeah, that's the last thing we need. We'd be better off putting Peatling or something in as a small ball center for the end of the game, hoping that he can hit free throws at that point. All right, well, let's quickly do our players of the tournament, and then we can move on. But Do you want to go first, Mad Dog? Who did you pick from the 3 games in Singapore?
Like Taylor said, there's an obvious choice there, and that's Aussie Tyler.
Yeah, almost.
Well, yeah, and obviously, he didn't play in the game that we actually won, but
Well, no, they didn't need him.
Yeah, but we've got 24 points, 32 points, and it felt like every time we needed to get some kind of momentum going or like a big shot needed to be hit, he just stepped up and did it. So, like, when we were struggling, he kind of got us back on track. So that's what he does.
Yeah, I can't. I can't argue with that either. I would say it's got to be Harvey. He kept us in those games. He did what he always does. It's to the point where it's not surprising when he does these sort of things now. You think about hitting that buzzer beater 3 in the finals against Melbourne, and just the confidence to be able to do that. He's not scared of those moments. Give me the ball, I'll make the shot, and he lives for it. We lost both those games on free throws. It's I don't know what else to say. It wasn't really Tyler Harvey's fault. He was amazing that entire time, and I can't wait for this regular season to start and just see him do it again. Yeah, he's a disrespected player who should be in an MVP conversation every year.
Those 2 games were proof.
Unfortunately, plays for the Hawks.
That's right. Yes, he was amazing and he kept us in the game, but that's also the problem. Obviously, we're missing Davo, and that's kind of what we're talking about. But the fact I don't think you want to rely on 32 points from Tyler Harvey. We kind of the way JT sort of works the system is that we want a lot of guys chipping in, and that was a funny game that G League one where I kind of get the feeling that we're going to struggle a little bit against fast-paced teams like that. Like, it was better against Flamingo because they were basically breaking it down in the half court and shooting a lot of threes, and we were able to sort of use our great ball defenders to try and stop that, and then we're just kind of happy with them shooting threes. The G League got out and ran on us, and the game was faster paced. You saw it 100-94 or whatever it was. Like, those are the teams I'm a little bit more concerned with, the Hawks, because in like the fast break, it's harder to use your ball dominant defenders like Illawarra and that when the other team's running. It's actually a lot easier. We also need to be way better with turnovers. Like, if you're a team that can't score really well and you need to basically stop the other team and keep them in the 80s, you then can't be turning the ball over because you need your defense set on the other end and you need to turn it into a half court game. But against G League, that's the difference. Like, we cannot, we have to basically be lead leaguer in least turnovers basically this year if we're gonna.
I reckon JT would have been drilling them on that, like, in between those games. 100%.
I mean,
the coaches would not have been happy. Who's
Tyler
your pick?
Just sort of held us together there. I also mentioned Bales. I thought Biwali Bales was great. I just felt like off the bench he sort of ran that second unit perfectly. We were more than happy to give him extra minutes because of it. It's funny because JaVale McGee has been given I guess not a lot of credit from those games, but he did what I kind of expected. I think he'd even admit he may be out of shape a little bit. Like, maybe he needs those runs and he needs to sort of be able to stay on the floor a little bit longer. But a couple of
he's been really sick as well. He didn't travel out because he was so sick.
2 double-doubles, in games. It's like
that's his preseason.
The guy, if that's the worst we see out of him, and that's what he looks like, unfit and coming off, obviously an illness, then I'm stoked, because if we're going to get better than that, I'm actually quite excited in that. But
100%.
Obviously, the Tyler and Bales were sort of my main two.
Yeah, great.
Good call.
Right, well, let's do this.
We're just happy that Chris Goulding didn't hurt himself flopping in front of us.
All right, let's quickly just touch on this because it is the big news in the NBL at the moment. And I'm going to put this under the Chris Goulding flop award because this guy's flopped himself all the way out of the league, and that is Montrezl Harrell, who will not be playing in the NBL this season, even though every time I open the NBL app, his face is still looking at me. Every time I open Supercoach, his face is still looking at me.
Yep.
What were the NBL thinking of putting this dude's face on everything when he didn't? He's not cleared to play. He doesn't have clearance from his Chinese team, and then he's like, "Well, I went and played in Puerto Rico, but they're outside of FIBA, so the Puerto Rican league is it's like the pirate league. It's like anyone just go there and play.
Pirates,
and so he's like, I played there, and I get like he's smoking weed in China, okay, like
Chinese weed.
Who knows how that good quality weed? I don't know, but it's
government control.
Yeah. The Yao Ming of weed, that's right. Yeah. Big and with bad knees. It's like he could get up to a 6-month ban from FIBA for it. So Adelaide have gone. Adelaide was still trying to get him cleared up until like before they played their European game the other day. And it's just not going to happen. Like,
just
he's not
let
going to
it
be able
go.
to get clearance.
Yeah,
but
you just got to let him go.
I don't see it really. I think Adelaide is still going to be great because they've got big men that can play there as well. And I guess it sort of takes a little bit of pressure off them.
Don't get me started on the super
well?
coach system. I thought I could not believe that they changed away from the classic to this stupid beat the coach thing where half the country beats them and then you go into a draw. Yeah. Great. So that's for another podcast. Yeah. But anyway, the thing about the Adelaide situation is I kind of get the feeling this might weirdly help them. It might not in the short term. Like obviously Trez scoring 20-odd points a game, you got to sort of find that. But the funny thing is, if they're going to go after someone else, I think they should go the complete opposite. They don't need scoring. Like this was my kind of problem with them from the jump is that they've got possibly the worst defensive backcourt in the league in DJ and Bryce Cotton. And then Trez himself, like he can stay in front, but then he fouls a lot and he just does stuff.
If he feels like it depends.
Teams are going to score 110 on them anyway. Even the Hawks will probably put up 90. So I kind of feel like this is an opportunity for them to sort of take a look at their team holistically and go, all right, well, we're probably not going to bring anyone in the next 2 weeks because it's sort of too close to the season starting. But what I reckon they probably need is more like a 3-and-D guy, like probably more like a small forward that can come in and he doesn't need to be like a focal point of the offense, but plays very good on-ball defense because they're going to need like their own Wani. Like they need someone that can take the other team's best player because it's not going to be Cotton and it's not going to be Vasilievich. Exactly. They need someone
it's going to be a layup line through there. Yeah.
This might be an opportunity for them to go completely different with their import spot. Like, they've still got wins.
I think that I think this is why they didn't put up such a big fight with it. And people are laughing at Adelaide like, oh, they've stuffed it up again. But I reckon they've just gone, oh, this is too hard basket. That's fine. Move on. It's the NBL that looks silly at the end of it for chucking his face on everything.
Poster boy.
Yeah.
I can't.
Let's get the guy that fights fans. You know that guy that punches a bunch of fans? Let's get him.
There's got a chance that even if he played this year, he would have done something even worse during the season. And then it would have looked even worse on the actual like branding of his face on the league. It's like you
The NBL start turning into the NRL where every single preseason they run an ad that it's like, that guy's in jail now. And you're like, man.
Damn.
Yeah. Playing with fire, 100%. I agree. I think it is a blessing in disguise for Adelaide. I don't want Adelaide to be any better than what they are going to be scoring, but I think you are going to be definitely going to be able to score on them. And now they've got the opportunity. They've got 2 import spots open with Bryce now being Australian. And, the NBA teams are all about to go into camp, and there's going to be people getting cut from there as well. There's going to be G League players, people getting dropped on 2 ways, that sort of thing, that as it goes on, people might become available that, could fill those spots.
Yeah, I have the feeling that it's actually going to end up good for them. Like, very good.
You know what would be hilarious is if Montrez does get cleared and just signs with the Kings. All of a sudden, it's like, it turns out we could get him cleared, only if he lives in New South Wales.
That's right.
As the Screech and Roll podcast, so king-like.
Filthy Kings thing to do.
Yeah. That is very king-like.
100%. Very.
They'll even buy him his own bong.
All right, let's quickly just go through some of the other games that happened last week. We had Melbourne United starting off with a 2-0 record to start the season. They got that really close win over the Jack Jumpers and then flogged New Zealand. You had Brisbane get a win in New Zealand. It just seems like New Zealand are already fallen apart with injuries and everything as it is. But the one that really surprised me, because I was high on it, is the Phoenix beating the Taipans by like 10,000 points. And I know the Taipans did not have a point guard playing like at all, pretty much. But I just want to know what you guys think about this, because I am never ending hearing that Adam Ford is the god to all basketball coaches. No one has ever coached better than Adam Ford. He is the mentor. He should be doing TED Talks on how well you can coach a basketball team. I can't imagine if they don't have him on a tour of the USA going around to the NBA places, just letting them know how they can be better at coaching. He doesn't win any games when he coaches basketball teams. And then he goes out and throws his players under the bus every week and goes, well, if they're not going to try, what do you want me to do? Like,
Adam Ford's a funny one for me, right? Where I think he did his best work was when he kind of got thrown into the fire with the Kings, with the the purple filth, the violet crumbles, as we like to call it. I don't want to talk about the Kings too much, but what actually happened when he got put in was he had possibly the worst Kings team I've ever seen. Like, it was just even for a team that tries to spend over the cap every single year, this team was honestly one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen on an NBL floor. And he actually got him a lot more wins than I expected. And so I thought because of that, he actually should get another job. And then obviously he did move on to Cairns because he got let go. I don't think that was Gorge. Someone else came in. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. But yeah, I think he was after.
It wasn't when Gazy took over, was it? Off my head,
but they basically punted him for someone else coming in.
Yeah, okay, right.
And I thought that was unfair because I thought what he did with a really, really bad roster was amazing. But what I'm finding with him now with Cairns is there are certain coaches that can basically blood guys and do very good jobs with young talent or just, I guess, not as talented rosters. You see it in the NRL. Like, I kind of feel like Wayne Bennett at this point of his career is a little bit like this, where some coaches are good at getting like an extra 20 to 30% out of guys that no one expects anything out of, but then they don't know how to get to that next ceiling as a coach. They don't know how to take a good team and then get the most out of that good team to make them into a championship caliber team. And that's the way I look at Adam Ford. I'm like, he seems better at coaching a team no one expects anything out of than actually coaching a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
Okay.
They keep being injury, like they keep getting smashed by injuries year after year. That's but every team does. Like, there's no team goes through 100% healthy every season. It's more the like every time if something pulls up, it's him just pissed off at his players, and it's just like at some point he's got it's under 50% win rate over multiple years.
After a while, it's like you've got to look at yourself, right? It's like you can't make excuses for 7-8 years in a row. It's like, okay, I didn't have a great team here. I had an injury there. I bloody tried to fight a bloody player in the locker room here. So in the end, you actually have to start taking a bit of man in the mirror stuff, and take a bit of accountability.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll see. The Jack Jumpers got a good win over in Perth. That was a good game. That was close, like 75-72. And yeah, I'm actually glad we're going to get the Jack Jumpers first, because I think it's going to be a very good a good test for the Hawks to see where the Hawks are going to come into it. Let's get into that game. All right, so we're going to Saturday night, the banner's going to drop in the Sandpit, and we are going to see the Hawks play the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers. Now, before we get into how we think that game's going to go, the breaking news that I've heard today, I was listening from Olgun Ulich and Matt McQuaid have come out and said that Davo's eye injury is a lot worse than expected, and they expect him to be out for a good amount of time, like a decent amount of time. And that the Hawks are looking at releasing J-Rock to bring in a different sort of player, with Davo going to be out for as long as he's going to be out.
It's news to me. Wow. It wouldn't surprise me if this is true with Davo. Then I could imagine that changing their plans with that import, because I think at this point they had trust in Davo, so they thought, you know what, we're more than happy to sort of spend a little bit less on J-Rock and him sort of, you know, be the two-man of that backup unit. But if they need a starting caliber point guard straight away and Davo's not back for a while, then they would have to change their plans completely. So, yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's brutal. And I was sus on it when he didn't fly to Singapore, and you see Sam Froling was flying to Singapore and he's not going to play, but even players that have these injuries flew with the team, but Davo didn't go. And yeah, apparently it's a lot worse than what they expected, and he might be out for a while, and it's devastating.
That is not good news.
Yeah, it also caused quite a stir on this. I'm in this Hawks group chat, and my God, it got fiery on there. It's just people. Someone just put up I've heard that they're going to do this, and I think there's a few people on there that consider themselves to be like the gatekeepers of all Hawks information, and they're like, "You're smoking crack, you blah, 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 blah." I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's right.
Bro,
yeah.
it's like, it's just the dude from ESPN that reported
it. NBL plays all over it.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see. Like, I've got Matt McQuaid, who's a commentator. He said that he expects Davo to play, or it's just saying he's going to be out for a lot longer than we think. So, huge range.
That's a big range of possibility.
Tate, this is why we need to get into this sort of, people need to know our thoughts on it. Why don't we just chuck something out and I'll be like, no, I've heard 2 weeks based on nothing.
Yep. There you go. That's now a fact.
Click that, put it on the internet. That's news now. The McGee Magnay matchup.
So what's funny,
How
right,
do you
is
see that going?
I felt like in the past we've actually not matched up with the Jack Jumpers very well, because they've always been a really, really big team, whether it's Magnay, Marcus Lee. I still remember early on in JT's tenure when he'd sort of taken over from Jackamus, that he basically went on a tear where he won like 5 or 6 games in a row. And the only game that I remember them losing early on was they lost by about 20-odd to the Jack Jumpers at home. And I went to that game and I came out of it thinking, man, we struggle against bigger bodied teams. But
I remember Mag had a field day in that game as well, where it was just he could just body Froling off and dunk.
Yeah, we really struggled.
One big
we just getting killed on the boards, and we just really struggled against bigger teams. But I think we're set up a bit better than that this year. Obviously, it's just Magnay. There's no Lee. Yeah. I'm a bit more comfortable with the matchup, and specifically, you just talked about the centers, but I think just general play, I don't see this being a high-scoring game. This isn't like the G League team that we played against. You just saw Tassie only put up 75 points in a win against Perth. I think the way Scott Roth plays, doesn't try and outscore the other team. He wants to actually break it down and win a closer sort of style game. And I think that's actually going to play into the Hawks' hands. Obviously, we need to know what's going on with Davo and all this sort of stuff. But I think the way that I'm more worried about some of the fast-paced teams for this iteration of the Hawks, whereas the Tassie Jack Jumpers, the way they're set up, and we just saw that massive game out of Bryce Hamilton. I think that us putting Wani on him is a huge thing because
yeah. Well, someone's going to have to keep him quiet because he looks
Supercoach captain.
quality.
Thank you very much.
He looks like a quality player. That dude.
I don't like to pat myself.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, good call.
Yeah. So I don't feel like Perth had the guy to stop him. They didn't really have the ball stopper that we have in Wani. So I do feel like we're set up better than they were to stop him. I'm not saying, Wani's going to be able to completely lock him down, but there is obviously a better chance that we can stop him and make the other guys play. I also am interested to see the Jack Jumpers this year in general. I feel like Sean McDonald was a huge injury in the preseason. They were setting up everything to run around him. You even saw last year, I can't remember the record that they were on, but it was horrendous when he stepped on the floor for the first time and they completely turned it around and made a late season run with him on the floor. So without him, it also makes me feel a little bit more comfortable against this Jack Jumpers team. So I do see it being a very tight, lower scoring affair. And I feel like it's been huge. Yeah, we obviously know that.
Free throws might come into it. Yeah. So who do you think starts in the other guard position if Davo's out?
Honestly, the way this team's
start
set
Bales?
up, they probably would need to because
Probably.
I assume that like Bales, I know he hasn't been there long, but they would need someone that sort of knows the offense and in that point guard position. So yeah, I guess they would. I guess to a lesser extent they could possibly just move Tyler into the one, but I personally don't like that, and I feel like JT doesn't feel like that. No,
I don't think they want to go into.
think
I don't think they
so,
want to go
like,
into round one.
You would
like
rather. The thing is, you would rather keep everyone else the same. Like if you're gonna have an injury to your point guard, you don't want to move around the entire rest of your team. You want to basically go, all right, well, let's have everyone else in the starting five play their exact positions that we're going to have when we have our point guard, and then it doesn't throw off the entire offense. So
not at all. And you might see the rotations change slightly as well. You might see, with Magday being that bigger body in there as well, like they might throw a Harry Froling in there to kind of just, bounce off him a little bit and make him wear him down a little bit as well. I think the more tired he gets, the more fun McGee's going to have as well. So, the rotations will be a thing. Jonah Bolden, hopefully he's all good to go as well.
J-Rock as well. Maybe he has more confidence in him than we realise, obviously, coaching in Indonesia. So I guess if Davo was out, they may just roll with him at the one, keep Tyler at two. So I guess, honestly, that would probably be my lean, honestly, the more I think about it, because I think they probably wouldn't want to put too much on, Bales, given he's only been there for like 2 or 3 weeks. So...
What if J-Rock, this is first game in Wollongong, banners dropped, J-Rock starting position.
Then I think that's when you would see him turn to Bales, because I think that he has the trust in him. So I don't think he wants Bales to have to go, and he's the younger player. I don't think they want him under the lights like game one, but he does.
Right. Bales seems like such a confident player. I think he would soak up that sort of pressure. Where
I think he'd love it.
J-Rock seems to, if he loses the ball once, he misses a shot, he does this. The next time he touches the ball, he seems so hesitant to. The second he's caught the ball, his head's on a swivel, looking to get rid of the ball instead of looking to score. He ends up under the ring. And doesn't want to score. He goes
obviously
full,
a confidence
Ben,
player.
He goes full Ben
they do have concerns about the future of Davo. They might actually throw J-Rock in there with the idea that, hey, this is your opportunity. If you take it right now in game one, we're going to have to move on because we need someone that can actually run the offense and score like we had in Trey Kell. So this is your opportunity. Do it now, or obviously gone. I can imagine JT having that conversation with him and saying, mate, we need more out of you straight away. Otherwise, we're going to get a guy that can.
Yep. That's likely, actually. Yeah. Hopefully we see Davo with the Phantom of the Opera mask out there.
Well, buddy,
chuck some goggles on him and let him go.
Yeah, about 10 years. He's like, Mike was just Batman.
That guy's worn a mask forever. Yeah, that's right. He's basically a Marvel character. Yeah. It's insane. But you just go, no, I like the mask. I play better in the mask. It pisses me off as well. What's your prediction?
I've got a low scoring game, as mentioned. I don't think it's going to be quite as low as that Perth Jack Jumpers game, but I've got it more in the I'm going to say the Hawks are going to win 87-83.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got the Hawks by 4, but I also said low scoring. Yeah.
I'll go Hawks 84, Tassie 81.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's too stressful a game. It's going to be round 1. I'm already getting stressed.
I will say, if we don't have a scoring point guard, it probably means a little bit less against a team like this.
Bring it on.
We didn't sort of touch on, fully in the other games of the other teams, but if we're coming up against a Brisbane, I'd be more worried because I think that team's going to run and gun, and they've got basically a big 3 in their guard spot. So that would worry me a bit more, but I don't think this JJ's team has the kind of team that's going to blow anyone away. It's going to be sort of close, gritty wins if they get them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad we do have them up first, just with the fact that they're 1-1. It was real tight between Melbourne, and they only just got over Perth. So if we can be there with them and get a win, then we sort of know where we stand with those other 2 threatening teams as well. The Kings at this point, I see us sweeping this season again. They don't have a centre. We'll just throw it in and score. Just pop it over their little guys' heads and say, just put that in for me. Thank you. Yeah, there's no one there to stop them. Love it. Can't bloody wait for it. But we're not up to Kings yet. Let's beat the Jack Jumpers first. All right, that's good stuff, fellas. We've got through the Intercontinental Cup, where we are the 5th best team in the world. With that, Montrez is the flop, and I think we've got our thoughts down on Saturday's game, and the games are going to start coming thick and fast as well.
Yep. It's going to heat up.
Yeah, it's good. So thanks, Doggy. Tay, thank you so much for doing the pod. Anytime you want to jump on,
I could talk to a wall for a full 24 hours about the Hawks. I think my wife and anyone who knows me knows that. So the fact that you guys have given me a reason to sit in front of you of other people and chat about the Hawks, because I'll do it either way. So, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
It's awesome, man. Thanks,
good Hawks
it's been a good chat.
I love it, mate. I'll keep listening, and you're doing God's work.
Thanks, Tay. All right, on you, thanks, mate. Doggy. Everyone else, make sure you're following us anywhere you get your podcasts, on all the social medias at Screech and Roll. And we will be back next week to talk about a glorious, glorious win and see who we're going to beat next.